Welcome back. So, last night I finally finished season 2 of The Boys. Now, I don't know if I did a review for season 1. I'm just going to say this. If you haven't watched the show The Boys, you're missing out. The Boys is fantastic. Now, you do have to be able to handle gore and a lot of C words. A lot. Now, I will admit, William Butcher is one of the funniest characters and drops a lot of C bombs. And I've worked with people that drop pretty much as many as he does. And it can be off putting for some people, but there's an honesty to the way Butcher talks to people. So if you're fine with all of that, then by all means enjoy. It's on Amazon Prime for people who don't know. And I will say this: definitely the streaming services have allowed shows to exist that would not have been able to exist or would have had to be neutered for television, where it's a G-rated production because network TV, PG-rated network TV, and The Boys would not work as a PG-rated show. The politics of the show, they're really picking up. The politics of the show are really picking up. And I have to say that I was surprised at Stormfront this year. She was the character that to me it felt like evolved the most, and yet she didn't. The character didn't, just the way she was portrayed in the show did. So they bring her in sort of like, hey, she's young and she's different and she's this and that. And as the show goes along throughout the season, you're like, something's off. And then you find out just how off it is. So again, if you haven't watched it, you don't want to deal with spoilers, go watch it and come back and watch this video because great show. Um, that being said, I'll now get into spoiler territory. Um, season 2 kind of broke me on some level, and yet I'm really anxious for season 3. And I mean, it broke me in a good way. A good measure of a show is when a character dies and you kind of feel gutted at watching it happen. And Butcher's wife, who I keep thinking, holy crap, does she ever look like Carla Gugino? Because she does. Um, her passing in the show was heartbreaking, and you could feel that. And in that moment, both she and Butcher became to me like the greatest heroes in any show I've watched. Butcher knows that at any point in time, Homelander can snap him in half. He doesn't care. He knows that he can't stop Stormfront. He doesn't care. He doesn't back down. He doesn't care that these people can snap him. No. If that's what's going to happen, it's what's going to happen. He doesn't care. He doesn't show any fear, not any respect either, but you can understand why. So his wife's passing is tragic. It got me because I could see it coming like 3 episodes before. I'm like, they're killing her off, aren't they? As soon as Homelander took his son away, and I thought, okay, now that he took the kid, Becca doesn't have to be kept alive anymore. If Homelander can prove that he can take care of Ryan, then we don't need Becca. So it was right there that I said, okay, so she's gonna die. In fact, when it traces back to when she told Butcher, "I'm not going. I'm staying here. I've got to protect my son," I thought she's totally gonna die. But it didn't make that moment any less impactful. And again, I think that's a sign of really good writing, really smart show. When you see that it's Eric Kripke that is behind this, makes total sense. Kripke was the creator of Supernatural, and his vision of Supernatural is the first 5 seasons. Everything that came after those first 5 seasons is not a part of the vision he had. He had this very encapsulated idea. Apparently, with The Boys, he has this idea as well for how to end it. Now, I don't know if season 3 is going to end it. They haven't said where the plan is to end it, but I could see a situation where season 3, wherever we end up there, is probably where it ends. There's a finite amount that they can do this without the returns getting more and more ridiculous. They haven't reached that point yet. You want to stop the show before things get ridiculous. That whole jump the shark moment, you want to make sure you don't hit that. The people are left going, oh, it's done already. We wanted more. I think, when I talked about The Good Place not too long ago, The Good Place definitely does that. And I get the feeling that with Kripke that this show will do that as well. And Supernatural would have too if they'd stopped at season 5. Even though there's an episode called Jump the Shark, it doesn't. It's actually not a bad episode. of Supernatural. This one, you know, this show, it just gets me, and it's impossible not to want to watch the whole thing all the way through. I was making it so that when I was on my treadmill doing my nightly jog, I was watching one episode a day. And I found myself just absolutely drawn in. And I like Starlight's character. Maeve, I'm a little bit on the fence with because I don't know how much I buy Maeve's heart. Like, to me, it kind of feels like Maeve's really kind of in it for herself. And so while she doesn't like being bothered by Homelander, she does kind of have that selfish side too. I found myself too as season 2 went along. I kind of like A Train, and I thought he was a total dick the first season. Obviously, right? He's the one that kills Huey's girlfriend at the start of the first episode, and I'll be darned, they definitely reclaimed him. And I thought it was interesting too because he gets back into the Seven at the end of season 2 here, right? And the character had kind of gone through this arc where he's reclaimed as well. So I thought that's fun. Now, the loose ends they have to tie up is you've got the one girl, I think her name's Cindy, the one from the Institute, who has powers and just was blowing people up, just squashing them. She got out, so that's a loose end for next season. You've still got the fact that the Congresswoman is behind all the heads blowing up too. What happens if those two end up face to face? How does that? Do they just? I'm crushing your head. Is this literally Kids in the Hall? I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head. I'm squishing your face. Are we going to see that? Do they have some kind of resistance? And can she do that to Soups? Like, could she do that to Homelander if she wanted to? Is Homelander immune to that? We aren't quite sure. We know that Stormfront is still alive. I don't think we've seen the last of her either. And we know from what's being told that Soldier Boy is being brought back. And I can't hear that name and not think of Soldier Boy. But I'm trying not to because Jensen Ackles, who played Dean on Supernatural, is going to play that role. And apparently there's a ton of swearing involved in the role for Soldier Boy, and people are saying it'll be weird to hear Jensen Ackles swear. Not really. If you've seen My Bloody Valentine, he's in that. There's swearing in that movie. It's not going to be weird to hear Jensen Ackles swear. It's been weird watching him as Dean for the last 16 years, thinking he would totally swear there, and he doesn't because it's a TV show that's kind of whittled down. And maybe on some level, looking at this show at The Boys and what it is, and you think if Supernatural was starting now, would Supernatural have been on a streaming service where it could have been an R-rated show, or would it have started on television and been the G/PG rated show it's been the whole way through? I know it's TV-14 for a lot of episodes, but it's not that bad. It mostly isn't. It's very rare that episodes of Supernatural were necessarily disturbing. It happened, but not that often. But you have to think if Eric Kripke had been able to just, bring it to its nightmarish potential, what might have happened with that show. It's one of those things that's kind of occurring to me right now. Like, how good could Supernatural have been if it had been on a Netflix or an Amazon Prime and not been, had to have been chopped up into small sections so you can have all the commercial breaks, all of that. One thing I like with The Boys and shows online is that the shows can be of varying lengths. You're not bound by commercials. You're not bound by sponsors. You are just providing this product, and each episode can be split up into a different chapter, and it just works. It really, really works. We've also almost finished. My wife and I have almost finished Queen's Gambit. We're one episode away from finishing that, and then we'll likely do a review for that too. And if you haven't watched it, you're like, that's just a show about chess. It's not just a show about chess. There's a lot more going on there than just chess. Chess is in it. The example I would use is Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams, is it a baseball movie? Absolutely. Is it just about baseball? Absolutely not. And I would make the same argument with Queen's Gambit, that it's not just about chess. There's a lot of chess in it, but I'm excited with The Boys for season 3, and there's no release date for The Boys because of the COVID shutdowns everywhere. So they're hoping to have it up by the end of 2021, but it's definitely been delayed because of everything that's going on around the globe. But as soon as it's as soon as it's up and available and we're good to go, I'm anxious to watch it because I want to see how this ends. And I have to say, Billy Butcher, William Butcher, he might be my favorite character. Period. There's so much depth, and there are some similarities between the way his character is and the way that Dean Winchester was at certain points during Supernatural. He only appears heartless. Certain points you're thinking, wow, he's heartless. He's ready to just kill everybody. He only appears that way, and there's reasons for it. And I thought that the interactions between him and his father, the interactions between him and Ryan at the end of the season, where he made a promise to his wife as she was dying. He made her a promise, and he kept it. And I thought that was great. And again, as he's facing down Homelander with just a crowbar in his hand, which is nothing to Homelander, right? And just with the kid behind him, and just like, yeah, come over and try to get him, knowing that Homelander could just split him in two. Um, Absolutely great. And the other part of it too, I love the Starlight Huey thing that's going on. And I know Huey now is they look like they're setting up so Huey's not going to be on the same side necessarily as the other boys to start the next season, and something's going to happen here where they're going to all be on the run again, obviously, which again is kind of a supernatural echo, in that Sam and Dean were always on the run. Sometimes Sam was considered dead, Dean was considered dead, but they were always on the run from the law, and yet they were impersonating the law and the FBI. Butcher does it too. Um, yeah, it is a great show. It is absolutely fantastic, and I think, again, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends with season three. Usually with shows, it's a 4 or 5 season arc, and I would think for Eric Kripke, with how popular the show's been, that he'll probably get a chance to do that complete arc, whether it's 4 seasons or 5. And it's got me wanting to read the comics as well, even though I know the comics are different than what we have on TV. The comics are set in the George W. Bush era, and these are during the 2020 era that we're going through and all that, from 2017 through to 2020 era, and now it's going to be beyond that. And there are some not too subtle political aspects to this, but it doesn't make either side look good. It doesn't make anybody on the political spectrum look good. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys thought of season 2 of The Boys, how you liked it compared to season 1. I thought it was better. I thought it added to it, which is what the next season should do. It shouldn't be a matter where you look at the previous season and go, well, that was crap. But it should add to it. It should add more complexity. And I thought one thing that seemed to be different with season 2 than season 1, it felt like they used the gore a lot less in season 2 for a lot more effect. But again, the gore in season 1 may very well have partly been there to draw people in and go, wow, did you see how grim this is? This is really graphic. And then they give you the storyline. It's sort of like how TV shows in the past, movies as well, where they'll have all the nudity and all the offensive stuff at the beginning to go, oh, what might be in this? And then the rest of it's pretty tame. And that happens where they do that just to draw you in, maybe generate some controversy, and then they hit you with an actual storyline. You're like, there's a moral lesson in this. That's so offensive, but you've already been taught the moral lesson. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And I am all for season 3. And yeah, the way that Billy Butcher talks, there was a time. There was a time where that kind of language likely could have escaped my mouth. Not with the aplomb that he does it though. That accent just makes it so much better. And if I was in a situation where it was a life or death thing and Billy Butcher's on my side, I'd feel a lot better. I'm not sure why, because he doesn't have superpowers. There's nothing to make you think that you're any safer with him, but he's just the confidence, sometimes the arrogance, and just the refusal. Absolute sheer refusal. If anybody could survive being decapitated, it might be Billy Butcher, because he just refused to admit it had happened. Just pick his head up, put it back on, and go and say something really offensive. But anyways, there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support, and we'll talk to you again soon.